Welcome to Avidly Adulting. I'm your host, Dr. Alibur Lozano, Vice President here at Avid Center. Let me ask you, what is your brand? Your brand carries over from your training, and for many of us who are first generation professionals and in new careers, it begins the first day on the job, possibly sooner. Part of your branding includes your digital footprint. Yes, that includes your social platform engagement. That's the sooner part. Yeah, I can see some of you cringing. We're here to start or revise your professional digital footprint to avoid that cringe factor. Our topic today is the Early Career Playbook, LinkedIn Edition. To help us explore this topic, I'm joined by Jazmin Garcia, an avid alumni and an account director for LinkedIn nonprofits. Welcome, Jazmin.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here and for sharing your knowledge with other alumni and with other individuals who are learning to start or revise their digital footprint, specifically in LinkedIn. But let's learn a little bit more about yourself. Tell us about yourself and your Avid journey.
Of course. So I grew up in San Diego, Tijuana border. And I shortly after where I actually was in the AVID program was in the Temecula, San Jacinto area. Not sure if a lot of people know it, so I like to be very specific about the region. But I earned my political science degree at a liberal arts university in San Diego, so I moved back to San Diego, and I was taught by former public servants. Think of anything across any of the administration departments at the local level, right? Or even folks, former CIA analysts. And I'd like to think that that influenced my civic engagement or my interest in civic engagement. My mantra in college and thereafter was always be the change you want to see in the world. And so I pursued a career in politics. That's what I wanted to do. And I'm like, I want to be on the Hill, be in Washington, D.C. And so while I was in college, I served for my local member of Congress. And I ultimately went to Washington, D.C. on a prestigious fellowship with the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. After 4 years of working on Capitol Hill, working in advocacy for the census, naturalization, and voting rights, I even had the opportunity to develop over 200 Latinx professionals for a nationally recognized program. That experience taught me there are multiple ways really to make an impact, right? Again, being the change you want to see in the world. And so after 4 years in DC, I then went and moved to Chicago, where I am now. And I was a grant maker for a local foundation. This was temporary. Again, I was trying to figure out where's my passion, what do I want to do, and what my passion could lead me to. COVID then happens, and then, 2020, it's kind of a blur. But really, COVID for me propelled my career in a way that I never thought possible. I became the leading economic development professional, helping Latinx businesses sustain or keep their businesses during COVID. I regularly appeared on television, I was on Univision, sharing resources to the masses. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how did we get from there to being at LinkedIn? Throughout my professional career, technology was advancing at a rate that honestly no industry can keep up with. And so when you think about politics, nonprofit, corporate, tech, corporate, at this point, I had 8 years of nonprofit experience. And I wanted to make sure that my career, one, or my next move really, one was a higher salary because I wanted to accomplish my dreams of building generational wealth and becoming an investor and continue to travel. And then two, to still continue to work in social impact. So I had to find that intersection, right? As soon as I moved to Chicago, I was on LinkedIn and I sent an email to who is now my colleague, a person who was leading our what we call employee resource groups. And so he was a leader. I shared with him, I just want to know what it's like to be a Latino at LinkedIn. Could we have coffee? And he said yes. He had me over at the Chicago offices, and really the rest is history. Something important to note though, it wasn't until 2 years after that coffee that I ended up at LinkedIn. And so that something to take away from that is that I really connected with individuals even through COVID, just staying in touch with them, sending a short message. And so by the time they were ready to make a hire and ready to connect with me, everything else was seamless.
That's a story of going from California to DC to Illinois and the trajectory of that journey and the connections you made. How did Avid or your skill set that you learn in Avid help you make those transitions and those connections and networking? What can you connect with Avid to the skills that were necessary for you to be where you are today?
So when it comes to the impact of Avid, I think at its core, Avid helped me learn how to learn and maintain a growth mindset. More specifically, let's talk about skills, right? I think that's actually a really hot topic right now, right? Upskilling, what skills are going to help the workforce of the future, right? And so when you think about concrete skills that Avid helped me grow, we think critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, time management, goal setting, self advocacy, growth mindset, public speaking, and presentation. I mean, you name it. I can honestly go on in terms of the list of the skills that Avid helped me hone in to be successful. Fast forward for my time at Avid to my career now. For 2.5 years, my role at LinkedIn and the core of it was to provide solutions. I was bringing new partners to LinkedIn, right? They had business challenges, they were coming to me for answers. Case in point, problem solving there, right? Nonprofit leaders, would connect with me. I would reach out to them. It was all the same story, and I just had to find a solution for them. And more often than not, it was LinkedIn Solutions that was able to help them, right? Then continuing, right, considering upskilling, which upskilling, I want to make sure everyone knows, right? We're meeting the demand for a new skill set in where we are at right now. And so there's something in addition to you learn all the skills because everyone can learn a new job, right? A new skill set that will help them be successful in the role they want to be in. I mean, look at me in terms of the career that I kind of shared along with you. How do you go? People ask me this all the time, which is why I'm bringing it up. How do you go from politics to then working in nonprofit advocacy, developing the next generation of Latino leaders, to then working in sales at a corporate organization, right? And it was all because my skills were transitional. I can use them because I honed them in either at the start of Avid and continue to hone them in throughout my career, right? And so, what I wanted to highlight from that point was something else that's important is self advocacy, right? You can be number one at your job. You can, again, learn a new task, a new anything for the current role that you are in. But it is also important to advocate for yourself and brand yourself and market yourself. I was always encouraged through Avid to take charge of my own career, if you think about it, right? Charge of my own learning. If I need help, I need to ask. And I've taken that throughout every single role, and it's actually made me more successful from compared to my counterparts because I always asked for help whenever I needed it. I was literally that person always raising my hand. I know it was probably for some like, hey, why is she asking that? It's redundant. But no, I was literally encouraged Navid to do that. And again, it helped me be successful now, right? I have applied the skill that I've learned throughout to be successful across a variety of industries, and now particularly in corporate.
Yeah. Leading with inquiry, something else that you learn in Avid and you're using it in your profession today. As you're helping the next generation of leaders, which you mentioned, let's get into more specific today's topic, which is creating a professional digital footprint in LinkedIn. Some of us may need this to revise our LinkedIn. I may have to check my LinkedIn after this meeting. And some of us will need it to start our LinkedIn and create that brand that you have into this point journeyed into by leading with inquiry, being a civic service, and making sure there's social impact. So let's start. What are the essential elements of a strong LinkedIn profile for someone who's just starting in their career?
Yeah, Oliver, I think first and foremost, when people create a profile, they think creating a profile is enough. And what I mean by that is you literally enter your email address, you have your name, it's tied to an email, you get email messages, you put maybe one work experience or internship, whatever it may be, right? And you're done. But really, I think because, we don't know what we don't know. So, what I would say first and foremost is maximizing every single section and elements the profile has to offer. I think what people also forget right now is in this digital age, you have the opportunity to control what your digital footprint looks like on online, right? What does my professional presence look like? I can tell you right now, as soon as LinkedIn started, I wanted to make sure that whenever someone Googled me, LinkedIn was the first option there. And so, how do you make sure you're the first option, right? You have the opportunity to have a headline, you have the opportunity to have a summary, any of your featured content, right? For me, just as examples, right? I was including Univision interviews that I was doing. I also had an entire series on YouTube, again, helping businesses connect to different resources, articles I've been published in, any interviews I've done, right? Just some examples there because I think features is always where people kind of get stuck on your experiences, right? Time and time again, particularly for individuals that are emerging in their careers, I see that there is a hesitancy in terms of adding an experience because, oh, I didn't get paid, or it was an internship, or at the end of the day, it's experience. You again were able to hone in on that skill set because of that experience. And so I recommend anything that you can think of that would be helpful for whatever your next step is. I mean, right now you're an emerging professional, right? So there might not be too much to add into there, but anything that included you being president of that association, even a marketing coordinator for that association, whatever it may be, you took a role in that organization. ASB, I think, was a popular one too. That's just kind of whatever memory right now, right? Add that on there. All of that is experience, right? If you were helping your teacher on any specific project, that is experience. Projects, that leads me to my other section. That would probably be a section, I think it's under certifications and projects that you can add on there, right? When I was in college, to your point, I mean, I had like three different part-time jobs. I was taking a full course load. I was doing multiple things. And at that time, I didn't think that the jobs that I was taking, because I worked at a bookstore, I worked at a on a concession stand in a baseball field, right? That's not experience, and I'm putting it in quotation marks because people say that that's not experience for that professional job that you want, but it is. And so what I did too is add any study abroad experience when you're in college as well, right? Or when you're in school, whatever it may be, you can add it on there. Finally, that leads me into certifications and credentials, which please, to make sure to identify yourself that you, in some way, shape, or form, took advantage of add it on there. You can add it in, there's a little summary section under your education, if you had Avid there, or again, certifications and credentials. Avid is an incredible program that, again, helped me be successful in my role. And so make sure to add it on there.
Jazmin, when we talk about what are the essential elements, you talk about headlines, your summary, your features, your certification and credentials, and also your recommendations and referrals. So why don't we end that with one of the critical features in building your LinkedIn profile?
One additional critical feature in terms of your LinkedIn profile is the recommendation section. Particularly right now, as you're an emerging professional in your career, thinking about teachers, principals, coaches, even anyone you can think of, any leader at any organization, your colleagues. When you think about recommendations too, as you're getting your next, gig, next step, anything that it could be, sometimes they're asked for as referrals as well. I talked earlier about you having control of your digital footprint online. This is an opportunity to do that. When you are interviewing and there's 100 resumes on the table of the recruiter, or when you're applying to school, they're going to look up LinkedIn and imagine if they could actually see that digital representation of every single person that could recommend you for any specific skill set or anything that you have done. Case in point, recommendations.
Nice. And you've given us some really good five components of looking at your LinkedIn profile again or starting one. But I'm going to talk with the most obvious one. What should we consider when we're thinking about our profile photos or cover photos to look as professional yet approachable? So talk to me about that picture. That's part of our brand.
I love this question for a variety of different reasons because I'm sure many of you that are listening in have Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias, right? And you have a profile picture there, profile photo. And so when I want you to think about LinkedIn, it's a professional networking site. It's not social media. This is an opportunity, again, for you to be able to put your best foot forward and showcase who you are in the professional world. First and foremost, it's definitely adding a picture. There's so many people that do not add a picture. And if you think about it, you don't want to talk to some random bot online, right? You want to make sure it's a real person. So, first and foremost, it's just adding a picture and making sure it's a clear representation of who you are. It is recommended that you know the basics. You have good lighting, you're able to see your entire face. Probably not a picture where you have sunglasses on, right? You want to make sure it shows all of you. Um, Make sure you keep it just kind of like on top of where your shoulders are to your face because you want to just showcase your face to make sure again who are you talking to. Think about ID pictures or any kind of identification in that way. That's what LinkedIn and the professional site is. And so again, good lighting, what or again, you should have a picture and it should be have good lighting and it should showcase who you are, accurate representation of your facial of your face, really, and you'll be good to go. And again, it's a professional representation online of yourself.
Now, Jasmine, we don't need fancy equipment, right, to take this picture with these critical skills and criteria that you've mentioned?
Not at all. You can honestly take it on your iPhone. It's super easy. If you have an Android, it's the same thing. You're able to upload an image just like you would in any other site. If you want to, too. I mean, take a picture of a picture, just as long as it's clear. Whatever you are comfortable with that actually shows a representation of your face and who you are, shoulders up, you will be good to go. When it comes to backgrounds, of course, we want to avoid noise, right? Maybe not you laying on the beach. Maybe a white background would suffice, blue background, whatever it may be, just a solid background. But you really don't need any fancy equipment. I mean, we all know you can edit filters. I think LinkedIn itself has an opportunity where you can edit the filter too. If you want a picture that's black and white, maybe that's better and it showcases more of the features. Whatever it may be, you have the opportunity to edit on the LinkedIn platform itself as well.
Great. Those are really good tips, especially about the background and avoiding the noise in the background so that you really shine. We're going to talk more about some of the other LinkedIn resources that LinkedIn has for us to create these profiles that are more active. All right, so we've gotten a profile and you also talked earlier about avoiding bots and making sure you're not falling into that trap. So let's talk about how can young professionals start to build meaningful connections without feeling awkward or pushy because I don't know Jazmin Garcia, but she's an avid alumni and she has experience. So I want to reach out to her from Texas to where she currently lives in Chicago. So without feeling awkward and pushy, what are some advice that I reach out to you?
I think that well, one, if you have a LinkedIn profile, you have entered an unofficial contract that says you want to network and connect with people. That's at its core what a professional networking site is. That's first and foremost. Take away any kind of the ick, right? To make sure that you reach out to someone. I shared earlier, right? I reached this person didn't even have to answer me. But from the looks of his profile, his leadership role, that again is a volunteer role at LinkedIn, he was telling me he is open to that conversation. So know that many users on the platform are open to conversation. Now, when it comes to reaching out, also think about the dozens of ads, the dozens of emails, the dozens of text messages that you get every single day. When you go on LinkedIn and you get a message and someone reaches out to you, you just want to make sure it's as direct as possible, right? I am part of tons of alumni associations, just a variety of different associations, period, volunteer organizations, what have you. If I see someone that has that same background as me and wants to reach out because we went through the same experience, I'm more likely to respond to them and help them out. Again, first gen, Latino, part of Avid, part of CHCI, whatever it may be, right? And so make sure to showcase that in your in-mail through LinkedIn, right? One, take away the shame from sending a message. Again, this is an unofficial contract to network with each other. That's the whole point. Two, take advantage of the fact that you are more than likely part of the same alumni association. So make sure to share that on the platform, again, university, Avid, any other type of associations. And then finally, be very direct with your ask. I believe it's like 60% response rate when you include dates and times to the direct outreach. So if you tell someone, hey, again, I'm an Avid alumnus, I'm very interested in the work that you're doing now because I potentially want a career there. Do you have time on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. to connect? Include your time zone. Probably people are in a different state than you are, maybe a different state that they have on LinkedIn. You never know, right? And there you go. All done. I can guarantee you, out of the 10 emails that you send, 9 of them are going to respond. Whether it's, ASAP or later down the line, because we're not always on LinkedIn, right? A lot of people are. I will tell you the activity is pretty high, but just know that that will be really, really helpful for you.
That's great. We talked about the cringe factor earlier, and you mentioned the ick factor. So yeah, make sure that you're reaching out with authenticity and looking up what grounds you or what connects you, and leading with that, and leading with inquiry, as you said, to get the best advice. We're going to talk more about how you can join the LinkedIn Alumni Avid Alumni Association, but also join our network in just a few. But before we go to that part, help us understand, much like you did, and you persevered and you were patient. But how can LinkedIn profile help a first year professional advance in their current role or discover new opportunities?
I think a variety of ways. When you think about your LinkedIn profile and how you connect with individuals, I'll share a little bit about how I did it. I mentioned to you, right? I was very much influenced by public servants during my college career. And so that led me into a career in politics, working on Capitol Hill, advocacy, what have you. And so once I was in that career through, again, a variety of different ways, I showcased that on LinkedIn, right? Hey, I got a fellowship at the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. That in and of itself has just under 10,000 alumni, I believe, right? So I wanted to make sure to showcase that. Many of them who are still in Washington, D.C., included that in my profile. I then made sure to connect with those alumni on LinkedIn, reach out to them. I just got into the fellowship. Do you have any recommendations for me to be successful in this fellowship? Right? At the same time, I knew, because again, technology was advancing much faster than any of us, can regulate it, really, if you think about it, that there were going to be different jobs than what I can envision myself to be in from the time when I graduated school. I've always been a curious professional. I always knew things were going to change. And so I kept that in mind. So when you talk about what is on the platform already and the experience that you already have, you showcase the experience you have, you connect with individuals that are doing like minded things, but then also you have your interest on the side, right? I keep mentioning, right? I worked in government, nonprofit, then in corporate. Overarching was technology here and there. I mean, technology influences everything that we do. It made sense that I ultimately ended up at a tech corporation because in some way, somehow, that was always an interest of mine, and I made sure to showcase that on LinkedIn. In my about me, you could have found back in the day, right? I got accepted into that fellowship. I'm interested in this specific policy areas. I think at the time I wanted to work at the White House. I let that know, right? But then I would put like topics of interest, trying to network and engage, right? People that work at Google, people that work at LinkedIn, people, if you work at any type of tech policy, whatever it may be, right? Those three core areas are going to help you truly maximize the platform of where you currently are right now and where you want to be in the future.
Nice. And that's what we're doing today. If you're not in actually the field of technology, how do you leverage technology for teaching, learning, amplifying your brand so that you are and represent yourself in this digital space and digital footprint more accurately so that people can reach out to you and you can reach out to them without that cringe or ick factor. You mentioned way earlier about recommendations and endorsements. So I know we covered that a little bit, but now the next step is, what's the impact of being active in LinkedIn groups or following specific companies or thought leaders in one's career?
I think it depends on your objective, right? There's a variety of different ways this can be helpful for you. If you think about, there's over 1 billion members, I think 1.5 right now, billion members on the platform globally. This is the only platform with a digital representation of the workforce at that level. And so, really, sky's the limit for you, right? That means that when you go on LinkedIn, you can find any type of group. Again, even right now, I mentioned to you, right? I have 8 years of experience of nonprofits. I also worked on Capitol Hill. I'm part of alumni associations. I'm part of all those groups. And they're all listed when you go onto your dashboard. You'll see them on the left hand side. What groups are you part of, right? More often than not, we're talking about how LinkedIn is a professional networking site. Maybe someone in that group has that connection with someone in either a role that you potentially want to be in. Maybe you need a speaker for any of the speaker series. We have a lot of people, I think, in that part of the generation that's graduating right now. You have your YouTube channels, you have your TikToks, you have podcasts, whatever it may be, right? Any way that you can network with someone, groups kind of brings that to life, right? And then you're also connecting with individuals that either have similar interests than you, or again, can connect you to someone who has somewhere or is connected to something that you want to be part of. There's just a variety of different ways, right? Even just connections and friendship. I think people forget in this digital age that we were always meant to have connection, and here you have a platform that allows you to do that in a variety of different levels, not just professional, but I think obviously at the core it is professional. I jumped around from industries and I was able to do that because all throughout I stayed in touch on LinkedIn with every single person that was there. And also, I will note, because I think this also happens in the current generation that either graduated or graduated just in the last 5 years, is that there's this, aside from the ick and the uck and the whatever it may be of like connecting with C-suite level professionals, that VP, CEO, take that away. They're also on LinkedIn. They're also humans. They also want to be a mentor. Connect with them. Send them an email message, right? I do that day in and day out. I kid you not. I send an email message to whoever I'm interested in connecting with because, again, I at the core understand that they've signed that unofficial contract of, hey, I want to connect with someone. And I'll go ahead and add that on there that you can actually change your settings if you don't want people to email you. And I don't know many people who have that on, but I have seen some here and there that do have it. So know if someone doesn't want to connect you, you'll know that right up front. But more often than not, they're going to respond to you. So
Right. So it's finding the right fit of who you want to connect and network when you're reaching out to follow or sending messages that you advise in your career and your best interest, right? Because we're looking at college, career, and life. And LinkedIn is a professional network, and you can find good advice on work-life balance. We're going to come back to one of the questions you asked earlier. Now, we're not at 1.5 billion or more, but Avid alumni are about over 1 million since it first started. If I want to relook at my LinkedIn profile, or I'm starting a LinkedIn profile, what should I do best? You said it earlier, but let's repeat it, to make sure that I am recognized as an Avid alumni and can connect with others out in the world. Really, I love Avid alumni are out in the world. 1 million of them are in college and careers. So, what can I do for my LinkedIn profile to recognize myself as an Avid alumni?
such a great question, Albert. I think what individuals can do to make sure to showcase that they went through the AVID program throughout their career or in some way, shape, or form were part of this incredible group, right? That again has helped me very much be successful in my career and in life, is that you showcase your participation through your headline. So, AVID alumnus, very quick and easy that you can add that on there, right? Your summary, sections of your education, certifications. You do get a AVID certificate, right? Makes sense that you would put the certification there, right? At the end of the day, wherever you choose to put it on LinkedIn, when any individual organization uses our tools, or even you as a job seeker at a certain period of time are looking to connect with someone that in some at some time was part of Avid, you can just in the search button put Avid on there or Avid student, Avid alumni, and you'll get a digest in some way, shape, or form of those individuals. That's why it's important and it's critical that wherever you choose, I just named a couple of different ways that you can put Avid alumni on your profile, wherever you choose at the end of the day, because you'll get a digest of individuals' profiles. You'll still be able to find that connection with an Avid alumnus.
Great, really great, because as a group, whether you're avid or not, you're trying to break into this network. And when you can search for people like you in different groups, avid or some of the other categories, even in your life experience, and you can identify that in your summary, headline, or certifications, then you can search and establish that network of someone who's going to be able to open the door. We know that avid students have grit, determination, and have to work really hard in order to be successful. And what employer is not looking for that? So if someone, another Avid alumni can say, I don't know Jazmin, but she took Avid and forgoed a fun class, not that Avid isn't fun, for a fun, rigorous coursework, then she has a good work ethic, and that can open up a door for you. As we close today's podcast, Jazmin, I know you have several resources that can help us revisit this discussion and have some great tips. But let's start with the top three pieces of advice to summarize what we talked today for our subscribers as they create or revise, I'll do some revising, their LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, of course, Oliver. Top three things and recommendations that I would make as you start or revise your LinkedIn profile is to ensure, once again, that all of the fields are filled out. That includes having a profile picture, that includes having a headline, summary, experience, recommendations, what have you. Make sure you have at least one thing to fill out each of those sections. You'll also notice that we've had a lot of enhancements again as technology is advancing, correct? And so you'll notice that there is an AI draft with AI section on all of these sections. So you don't even have to kind of wrap your brain about what do I want to include in here. You include some keywords or a draft of any kind of message on your headline or your summary or experience, the list goes on, and AI will literally draft this for you. So it's just getting started, creating your LinkedIn profile, maximizing the AI technology that's already on the platform. And then next, I challenge you, send an email message to someone that you have been kind of second guessing. I don't know, they're probably not going to respond to me. Just send them an email message. You'll never know what's going to happen until you actually try, right? And then if for some reason that one doesn't work out, which I guarantee you it will, just send that message to the next person, and there we go on. Now you've officially maximized your LinkedIn profile.
Maximize your LinkedIn profile by getting started, of course, or revising. I like your call to action and challenges to us. It's really reminiscent of Avid is set a goal and actually do it. You don't know until you actually do it. If you don't do it at all, it's an automatic no. If you try, it moves into the yes. And you've shared some data about how many people reply when you do send a message in LinkedIn profile and they're trying to network. Jazmin, thank you so much for your advice and helping us answer what is your brand, LinkedIn edition. Subscribers, I want to thank you for joining us in this episode. And I remind you with one of the quotes that Jeff Bezos has said, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. We talked about it. LinkedIn, you get to go in and look at people, and they get to form ideas of why they need to reach out to you and connect with you. And the same goes with you. This quote emphasizes the importance of a positive, authentic, and intentional digital presence. It reminds us to craft, in this case, a LinkedIn profile that reflects our values and our aspirations while being mindful of the long term impact on our professional reputation that LinkedIn and the other socials say about you when you're not in the room. Subscribers, thank you for listening. Be good today because that's enough. And together, let's strive to get great tomorrow.